It is so cold.
Yeah, I didn't realize how cold it was.
It is the Yuletide season, and as you all know, I am a active pagan, and I also practice a little bit of witchcraft. And I often get people asking me about this path. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about Yule because it's coming up soon, and the Wheel of the Year. So very briefly, the Wheel of the Year in paganism comprises generally of 8 holidays or festivals or sabbats. And there are major ones and minor ones. Yule is a major festival or a major sabbat, and it comes on the day of the winter solstice generally, or around that time, which is usually the 21st or the 22nd of December. I feel like it depends sort of on the calendars you look at. The winter solstice is basically the shortest day of the year and the longest night. I wanted to talk a little bit about how I practice or how I celebrate Yule. I don't tend to stick to the days, although especially for the winter solstice, it is important to kind of acknowledge the day. You know, as I'm going home in the evening or in the late afternoon after picking up my daughter, I've noticed that it's getting darker and darker and that the sun is getting weaker. And so I tend to celebrate this time of year as a season as opposed to just waiting for one day. And there are several reasons for that. One of them is that I am quite busy and I have a family and lots of other things going on. And so basing it all on one day and celebrating this particular day, especially when it comes hot on the heels of Christmas, which we do celebrate as well, means that that's a lot of pressure for me to kind of figure out what I'm going to do on that day, devote the day to ritual, ceremony and all the rest of it. So I don't focus necessarily on one day, and that's the same with all of the sabbats, whether it's Yule or Samhain or Beltane or whatever. I tend to celebrate the season. Now that means that not every single day, but I'm acknowledging and thinking about and also kind of contemplating what's happening in the seasons, and I'm observing what's going on around me in terms of how things are different, like plant life, what animals are more active, you know, that kind of thing, how the light changes, all of those things, because those are very important in my path. But one of the things we love to do is create a Yuletide wreath.
Little friend,
okay, so we have some evergreens that we foraged from the garden, and we're going to use these along with some Christmas tree cut-offs that we trimmed off our Christmas tree to make it fit. And we're going to make a Yuletide wreath just in time for the winter solstice, which is tomorrow. Okay, for this we are going to need twine. This is just natural hemp twine, and it's a really dark colour so you won't see it. And some clippers, which we've used to clip the evergreens with, but we're also going to use it to clip the twine with. And all you're going to do is create a rough circular shape with your branches, and then hang it on your door.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, just pop it in. Do you see that? Exactly, that's what we want. And then what we're going to try and do is fill it in all the way around with the bits of twine.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. How's that? This is our wreath that Cece helped with. We've got in it the foraged evergreens from our garden, but also from the Christmas tree. We've got some of the foraged turkey feathers, and then we had a little bit of ribbon that we wanted to add that's got some red sparkles on it. And all ready for Yule. The great thing about this is once we are done, it's biodegradable. We'll just take the ribbon off and probably keep the turkey feathers, and the rest of it can just be composted. We'll build an altar, and then we'll also probably try and find a nice piece of wood, and that will be our Yule log. Traditionally, the Yule log was burnt throughout the night to bring back the light. Fires in different areas in Europe were put on hillsides again to celebrate the coming of the sun, and in the hope that it would bring good fortune. It was also traditional to bring evergreens into the house to brighten up the space. In terms of the mythology around Yule time for paganism, we often discuss the fight of the Oak King and the Holly King, and that's to do with basically the evergreens versus the dying Oak King, but we know that it'll all come back again around. So we often talk about cycles in paganism, and often the Sabbats are just reminders of that cycle of life as well. So throughout different pagan traditions, Yule is celebrated a little bit differently, depending also on the geographical location. But also it's worth acknowledging that throughout the world, this time of year is celebrated quite broadly, from Iran to Latin America to all over the place. Based on the fact that paganism is sort of influenced by agrarian society, which is when we lived off the land and we farmed and things, which we do less of now. This time of year, it was naturally a time of rest because nothing was really growing. The sunlight was not strong enough to get things to grow. Lots of animals were either slaughtered if it was felt they weren't going to live through the winter, which is what Samhain kind of is about a little bit. Or, they were kept safe and warm until the following year when they would be, breeding again. So a lot of this period is not about activity, it's about kind of being inside, cozy, warm. I think that it's important, at least for me in paganism, to really embrace the dark. The dark is important, the dark is rest, but also the dark allows us a certain amount of clarity. You can't have light without dark. And so I think it's okay to sort of embrace that and try and hunker down when you can, maybe go to bed early if you can, during this time of year, sit and read a book and think a little bit about the year that's passed and what's going to happen in the new year, achievements, things you want to work on. And so that's a very important part of paganism and part of Yule, in my opinion. Yes, it's great to celebrate. Yes, it's great to do stuff, build altars and have rituals and things. But I do think it's also great to just sit inwardly and just be quiet with yourself and think about things. And so those are kind of all the mixes of things that we will be celebrating at Yule. We'll be having the fun of Christmas, but then we'll also, I hope, be resting a little bit too.